Phenomenal morning, guys. This is Shaan Rais. You are now live and tuned in to your $1 billion breakfast with the brand. The backup is a little bit different, right? The background is a little bit different. I'm actually on the move, as you should be used to by now, right? I'm on the move. We're speaking. I have a phenomenal presentation lined up. I am actually speaking with military on branding. So this will be a phenomenal segue into what I've got planned later today, right? So on-site, undisclosed location, military, and what does military have to do with branding? Why branding and why here and why now, right? So we are live across multi-channels. We are not on IG this morning, right? We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn Voice. So we are here in 2 different places on LinkedIn, 2 different places on Facebook. Guys, the first thing I want you to do is share this out. Share this out because, listen, if you know you need this information, then you know that everybody else does too. You know that your network needs this just as much as you, maybe even more, right? If you're here, you have an idea of how branding can does translate into success in your life and in your business. So I'm going to strongly urge you to share this out because sharing is caring, isn't it? Of course it is. This is why I'm here to share with you every single morning, Monday through Saturday. We had a phenomenal guest on Saturday, Mrs. Tiffany Hill, Esquire. I hope you guys went back and looked at that for all of the gems and the jewels that she was really giving away freely. Servant leadership at its best, legal protection, law and brand. What do the two have to do with each other, right? So we will be doing future work with Miss Tiffany Hill, Esquire. Just wanted to shout her out and say thank you very much for the giving nature. The giving nature that was Saturday's episode. Listen, we have a phenomenal episode today lined up. I've actually got a former military combatant, right? I'm going to let him explain what he did in the military and how branding correlates. What does your brand have to do with military strategy, business, and what that translates into? How does that look? What does it mean? And how can you use what it means to amplify, clarify, simplify, and amplify your business practices, your brand, your business, your bottom line, your revenue, and relationships? Listen, guys, I hope you're ready. I hope you're dialed in. I got a brief commercial real quick. And when we come back, we will have our phenomenal guest, and we'll be talking about branding, and how you can brand you and not what you do. So let's grow. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just a very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Shaan Rais. I'm proud. I said Shaan Rais. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Shaan, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
as a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. All right, guys. So branding you and not what you do. And particularly or specifically today, I'll be speaking to a branch of military on authenticity branding and what it means to build your authentic brand. Because the job that you're in right now, guys, I want you to understand this. Wherever you're at in any level of occupation, any level of employment or deployment, where you're at right now is not where you're going to stay. You will move up, you will move lateral, horizontal, or diagonal. You might want to write, you will move lateral, horizontal, or diagonal, across, up, or down. And wherever you go, your reputation you bring with you. Wherever you go, the decisions that you make and the brand that you are known for, the brand that you impress into the minds, the souls, and the spirits of the people that you serve and serve with will be carried with you into other battlefields, other arenas of combat, right? Because business is war. Business is war, but you take your reputation with you. I'm thinking of Jocko Willink and what Jocko says, Echo, Echelon, their leadership development programs. What they say is that you are your own best friend or your own worst enemy. On the field, in combat, or in business, you are your own best friend and you are your own worst enemy. Shout out to Jocko. He's very instrumental, very still engaged, and very inspiring, motivational, and super realistic, clear, crisp, cunning, and clarity. Clarity is the main thing that comes to mind when I think about Jocko. 4:00 in the morning, he's always on Twitter, just showing you his watch, what time it is while he's working out and getting at it. And I want you to think, what is your brand? How do you get at it? And what do people know about you? What do they know about you that they're going to carry on? Where will your legacy be? Where will your brand go in the mouths and in the minds of the people that you serve and serve with? No further ado, I want to bring out my guest, and I just want, I'd like for him to talk for a moment about his experience in branding, building a brand, while being in the military. So if you don't mind, Mr. Bobby Jackson, come on out here and just tell everybody kind of who you are, where you've served, what that looks like, and did you know what branding was? Were you actively involved in branding? Was that what you meant to do? Or like, how did that work? How did branding work for you in service, and how does it play out now in business? Phenomenal morning, brother.
Phenomenal morning, and an excellent question. When I joined the military, I was homeless. I was figuring out my next move, and I was hot-headed, right? Hot-headed. But I came from a home. Where we went to the Sunday services and took it seriously, where we engaged in the community. And when we engaged in the community, we were a representation of our parents. So when I joined the military, I think I had a combination of home training and manners and a combination of I want to be the best. And that's a very important preface when it comes to branding for me, because when I entered the Marine Corps, anyone that has ever met a Marine knows that we're a particular bunch. Like, we are a very aggressive, alpha male oriented jarhead type of individual. So when I entered the Marine Corps, I was nothing like the other Marines. They were like, I was even, dare I say, soft in comparison. In comparison, I was soft. I was a bit introverted. Marines are loud, aggressive, and abrasive even. You know, and I came in 2011, so we were still doing away with hazing, but it was still a thing. Like blood stripes, those that know it was still a thing. Getting your rockers, collarbones being a little bit bloody was still a thing, but it's long gone now. And when I think about branding, some of the many things that I remember branding myself on was professionalism, execution, and excellence. And I branded myself on these things somewhat unintentionally. As I wrap this, I did all right. I earned 3 Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medals. And then I earned a Navy and Marine Corps Accommodation Medal. I served with Reconnaissance Battalion. I later served with the Marine Special Operations MARSOC Battalion. Both of those for three plus years. I deployed with those Special Operations Forces. I also deployed and operated with the Navy SEALs detachment out in Kuwait.
There's a little bit of a gap in your vocals. I think it's a little bit low. If you could check it real quick and say something real quick.
Test.
Much better. Go ahead.
So what I was saying was I had deployed with both Recon and MARSOC. MARSOC being the Special Operations Unit in the Marine Corps. And I served in both of those units, earned 3 Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medals, and earned a Marine Corps Marine and Navy Accommodation Medal. So the way I earned these, along with all the other things that we kind of don't talk about as much, they're a little bit lower on the totem pole, was I was handpicked for a lot of things. And as I wrap this up, my brand experience in the military was one where when I walked into a room, they knew who I was. I held positions such as color sergeant as a corporal. And a corporal, for those of y'all that know, is the rank below a sergeant. So I was holding ranks that sergeants should hold, and they were some of the most prestigious ranks in the battalion when it came to bearing the colors of the battalion. I was also someone that held officer billets and staff NCO billets as an NCO. And all of that, plus decade of experience here, so there's a lot here, right? But all of that came from my brand. So to turn it back over to Shaan Rais here, my brand experience was crucial to earning the accolades that I earned, having the reputation that I had, and being able to command and demand the respect that was due my rank and my name as I entered into rooms. As you do earn your rank, you don't get your rank.
Very good. Thank you for that. And thank you for your service. And that goes to everybody paying attention, right? If you have served, thank you for your service. Greatly appreciated. I want you to think of how you serve in capacity to business. I want you to think about how you serve. They're both battlefields, guys, and tools and instruments of war. One of the tools and instruments of war is perception, how people perceive you. Do your men respect you? Are you abrasive, aggressive, assertive? Can they count on you, and are you dependable? Can they trust you? Think about your brand in business. Think about the no like trust factor, and then somebody entering into war and battle with you. Think about the Shaan Rais brand and the fact that Bobby is one of the very, very many people who have been in military that come into business consultancy and come through the leadership leverage. What is it about that brand? How does that work? Why do some business sectors, some individuals, influencers, speakers, coaches, consultants, how do some people attract a certain demographic and others do not? What is it about the brand? What is it about the language? What is it about the cut of the cloth that makes you as a business owner attractive to a specific demographic? Now we're talking about ideal clients. We're talking about, in the context of ideal clients, your ideal life. Who is your ideal client? Who do you want to serve? Who do you feel most comfortable around? And what does that look like? And then why, as a speaker, coach, consultant, are you handpicked, right? Selected? Why are you brought in to serve certain sectors of business and not selected to serve other sectors of business? What is it about your brand, your cut from your cloth, your makeup, your marketing, your positioning in the marketplace that makes you the OVO, the only viable option, or one of three? What puts you in that top tier, that top echelon? What puts you in that space where people are like, okay, we can trust this individual to come in and speak to X group about X topic? I want you to think, how do you position yourself? How do you brand you in a way where you can be handpicked and selected to do business with some of the top creme de la creme corporations, corporals, and organization bodies? What does that look like? Who do you have to become, and how does it play itself out in the real world? How does it play itself out in the employee space, right? So we have people on LinkedIn Voice as well. And let me tell you something about branding. I always say this. You can be entrepreneurial in the organization or in the entrepreneurial field 1,000%. You do not have to be an entrepreneur. You can be an entrepreneur. As a matter of fact, I was speaking to a gentleman last night who been through the military, entrepreneur, has a job, and he was wondering how he could be entrepreneurial within the organization. It was kind of a disconnect. And I said, no, it's the same thing. You brand yourself, you market yourself, you position yourself, you design your ideal life, and then you design your ideal growth within your ideal market. Who do you need to know? What do people need to think of when they think of your name? What do people have to think about you? What do you need them to think about you before you enter the room, so that when like Bobby said, when you enter the room, they know who you are? How do you enter into rooms? Through reputation. What does that look like? And how does that impact your growth, development, your succession planning within the organization? Talk about that for a minute, Bobby. How did your brand precede you and allow you to move up in rank inside of the military body?
That's good. I made a lot of people jealous. Not only jealous, I made a lot of people angry because they looked at me and they're like, how's this young kid telling me what to do, right? Because it was a point where I earned a rank a year. Every year I was getting another rank. That's what it looked like, because I was in zone for E6 selected within 6 years. Guys,
what does E6 selected mean?
So you're a staff sergeant. You've got 9 ranks in the military for the enlisted side of the house on the Marine Corps side. So you got that PFC, or then you got that private. Been a long time since I was at that end of the spectrum. So you got the private, PFC, Lance Corporal, Corporal, Sergeant, Staff Sergeant, Gunnery Sergeant, and then you have the 2 top dogs, which you could be a Master Sergeant or a First Sergeant, and then you could be a Sergeant Major or a Master Gunnery Sergeant. So at the end of the day, you can only go up to 9. You can only go up to 9.
I just want to point something out real quick, Bobby. If you're watching this right now, you saw how he went through every step with didn't have to think long. That's just authenticity, right? That's mastery of your craft. That's knowing what you're talking about. Because you know, a lot of people don't know what they're talking about. They just come on and they talk real quick and real fast and try to sound good. But when you're able to show mastery of content, it puts your brand into perspective and it shows context. Go right ahead, Bobby. I just wanted to point that out real quick.
Thank you. So once we get up to 9, the big thing that was pretty impressive to some people was you have 20 years to do it. So like if you get to 9 in 20 years, you did good. if you get to 6 in 6, you got 8 more. What is that? 12 more years left. 14 more years left.
10 more years.
There we go. 12 more years before you even are tapped out. So that was partly because of the brand that was established and how the brand that preceded me, the reputation that I had developed over time, was one that spoke to the people that were in the promotion seats, because you have what's called meritorious promotions and you have time and service promotions. And a time and service promotion means that you've been in service and you've held the rank for the required amount of time minimum, and you meet all of the other requirements. Now, if you get promoted by requirement, there's nothing wrong with it. Some people take a little bit longer to meet all the requirements because they don't perform as well. But when you get meritoriously promoted, you kind of jump the curve. So when this comes to business and my experience in business while also being a service member was
Just one moment. Just one moment. So what Bobby's talking about right now, guys, is collapsing decades into days. He's literally giving an example about how to go from yearly income to monthly income to weekly income to daily income. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about just imagine entering into an organization and skipping people who have been there for 10 years. Just look at what that looks like. Think about going into an organization at $50,000 and ending up at $150,000 in less than 3 years. This is what he's talking about. Yeah. Go right ahead.
And when I notice certain things, I want to create a correlation, or more so connect one, not create one. I want to connect a correlation for us. So in business and in the Marine Corps, there are some similarities that were illuminated as I went through branding like a leader, because those of y'all that's followed me know that I was still in the Marine Corps as I was going through branded like a leader and building my business. I was doing them simultaneously, right? And but I had already reached the rank of staff sergeant when I joined branded like a leader. So I was in some senses a leader, but in other senses had no idea of what the word meant, and I mean that literally, because you can be I would say so I'm not sure how to say this, but there's so many aspects of leadership, right? And you can be stellar at one aspect of leadership and not know anything about the other aspects. And in the Marine Corps, we call this well-rounded. I was well-rounded in the Marine Corps versions of leadership, but there were still other components of leadership that I could have brought to the Marine Corps that I had no idea about. So as I tie this up, one of those big links for me was being able to understand that you control the perception. I think that was crucial for me, that I can intentionally change my attire to match my desire. Had no idea about this when I was just in the Marine Corps doing my thing, right? It wasn't until I went to branded like a leader that things started to get connected. So as I end this piece, in the Marine Corps, we have to wear uniforms. And it's so funny thinking about it now. I never shared this, right? Is that I was the type of person that was very strong. Like I was very deliberate about how you wore your uniform. Your cover needed to be starched. Your boots needed to be clean. We had these things called Irish pendants. And an Irish pendant is a thing that hangs off of your clothing. I said, where's the lighter at? Like this dude off Salem Witch Trials. If I said Salem Witch Trials, they knew that I was coming through burning all the uniforms and making them nice and tight and crisp. And those boots need to look a certain way. And that was because when people saw my unit, when you saw my people, you knew that they were a direct reflection, a direct representation of me. And I feel like all of those things were just illuminated when I went through branded like a leader. So when I connected those two, I mean, it was game over for the industry, because I don't think a lot of people knew how to do that.
And they still don't. And we'll be right back. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
You know, there's nothing that you cannot overcome in this world except that which you refuse to fight. When I say brand, when I say brand and authenticity and being the brand, you gotta know your story. You gotta know your story, you gotta own your story, and you gotta be the champion of your story. It's very important that we control our narrative. It's very important that we don't allow anyone else to control our narrative, because when they control our narrative, they control our freedom. They control our freedom and our future. I don't just want it for me, I want it for everybody. It can happen, and it can happen for you, especially when you get branded like a leader. Business is like a game of chess. It's not checkers. If you don't know how to lead with a personal brand, then you're losing the battle.
Everything about Shaan's talk was fantastic. I mean, I got so much from it.
So he was really bringing fire and passion and just love and spirit to let everybody else know how do you become a leader amongst the leaders.
You hold the key in your hand. There is more power in this phone than there was that took the first man to the moon.
His energy, his dynamic information, gave a really great presentation.
I didn't ask for any money. I didn't have an offer. I had a heart to help people and meet them where they were at and find their need and fulfill it.
Shaan is the bomb.
All right. We are back, guys. I'm gonna just take a moment real quick to tell everybody again, share this out. Share this out. Put this on your page. Share this out so that the world can see it, so that your followers, your constituents, your group, your network can benefit from what you do in the morning. When you raise your brand, let me tell you this first. You don't raise your brand without raising other people's brand. You don't raise your brand without raising other people's brand. You see, Bobby was cut one way, but had he not taken a leadership position and helped other people through that Salem witch hunt or Salem witchcraft or whatever, what was that? What did you say again, Bobby? What was it again?
The Salem witch trials. We came through burning all the Irish pendants.
Very good. Coming through burning all the Irish pendants. Listen, if you don't share this out, then you're keeping it for yourself. You're being very selfish, actually. So be selfless and share this out so that your network can benefit from what you're engaged in early in the morning. I guarantee you they will appreciate it, and that appreciation turns into monetization. That appreciation turns into monetization. All right, very good. So on the back end, Bobby was saying to me that it's interesting how deep all of this is and the different correlations. And listen, guys, I never served in the military. However, when I tell you about my background, I tell you that it was war. It was war where I grew up. It was war at a young age. There was nothing sweet at all. Nothing sweet at all. We had fun. We had fun. As I'm sure a lot of people have fun in combat because it's trying times. It's stressful times. You have to find the fun in it. However, just like business, you find fun in it, but sometimes there's hard times in business. And you have to be cut from a certain cloth to exist, to last. Everybody's a staff sergeant and a corporal in good times. Everybody serves immaculately and everybody's happy when it's a party time. But when it's a downtrend, when it's a down season, when there's a hail of bullets, right? When the numbers aren't making sense, when the clients abandon you, when you're left trying to figure out the upside down revenue, this is when people tap out. This is when people tap out or cop out or don't, fail. Like seriously, there's qualifications. There's qualifications that you have to go through to make it through year after year after year, season after season after season in business, just like everywhere else. And I think this is why certain people that have certain successes, it translates. Success leaves clues, and there's what we call transferable skills. Transferable skills that apply in employment, in the employment sector, in the private sector, and in the military sector. Speak a little bit about the business application of what you learned in the military, how it related to what you learned in Branded Like a Leader, and how you were able to then make the connection, connect the two into one, and then move into business with a completely different mindset.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man.
And I hope you guys are appreciating this, because this is not scripted either. I put people under a hail of bullets, honestly. Like Bobby had no clue what we was going to be talking about today, none whatsoever. And I could not prepare him and still have him authentic, because he would have prepared for this. So I don't prepare people. I say, walk with me down to the deep end, guys. Put your hands in your pockets. You're going to learn how to swim today, right? So Bobby's learning how to swim on the fly. So everything that he says to you, I guarantee, is authentic, super authentic, because he had no clue what we'd be talking about today. So go ahead, Bobby. How did you put the one with the two and then go from 0 to 6 figures in less than 2 years in your own business?
Absolutely. It was a core thing. So in the Marine Corps, we have this thing called esprit de corps, and I'm sure that's used in other places, but the esprit de corps represents your ethos. It represents your core values. And when we talked Branded Like a Leader, we learned MVPs, morals, values, and principles. And in the Marine Corps, we have the core 3, which is honor, courage, and commitment. And as you go through that, we have JJ Did Tie Buckle, which is a way of, it's an abbreviation, but it's, without going through all of them: justice, judgment, determination, initiative, dedication, and each of the T's have something. Tact is the next one in tie, and then E is enthusiasm, so on and so forth. So you have all of these different things that you learn. And one of the big connectors for me was that what you are awarded for is not.
I want to make sure everybody hears you clearly. You might want to tune that mic or touch that mic one time. Go right ahead. Let me hear you.
Test, test, test.
Very good, very good. Tuesday, I see you on LinkedIn Voice. Everybody on LinkedIn Voice, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn Live, Facebook, in the group or on the page. We appreciate your presence. Pay very close attention. You're going to want to take out your pens. You're going to want to make notes, and you're going to want to share this out. Go ahead, Bobby.
Definitely. On this journey, this 6-figure journey, some of the biggest things that I learned correlation-wise and transferable skills-wise was that what you do on the field in the Marine Corps and what you do in the marketplace in business are the things you're awarded for, or rewarded for rather. The things you're rewarded for are usually connected to the unglamorous work that you do. I think that was very transferable. In the Marine Corps, the guy that's got his face in the dirt, that is getting, we call it a thankless job. The people, we say leadership is a thankless job. We also have this thing called leaders eat last, and if there's no food left, you don't eat, right? Leaders eat last, and if there's no food left, you don't eat. And that's okay. Like, that's okay. So as I went through the Branded Like a Leader course, and I was feeling myself like down, like, why? I'm not making no money, but I'm doing all this work. I was able to think back to the Marine Corps and say, let me tell y'all about something that really irked me for years till this day. If I see him, it might be on site. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, right? But something that irks me to this day is that there's this ceremonial experience that we call pinning. And pinning is when Marine goes to the next rank. And Marines need mentors and coaches in order to get there. And it is a sign of respect and honor to call your leader who holds the rank above the rank that you've earned to pin you. Very, very important, very spiritual experience for Marines. There have been countless times that I have been the dog, if you will, the one that said, get the MCIs done, get your fat butt up there on the pull-up bar. Why are you late? Why are you late? Like I'm in these dudes' behinds. And then they got the other sergeant over here. That's all right. You know, Corporal Jackson is just this. You know, Sergeant Jackson, he loved you, you know, but come here. Daddy will take care of you. Daddy's the one putting the pins on. I'm super professional. I'm in the back. I'm really proud. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm really proud. But I need y'all to understand that he would not be there. He wouldn't be getting pinned right now if it wasn't somebody in his backside, someone banging on the hat. Where you at? What you eating? Is that pizza? Is that pizza? Like, that's what it takes. So, guys, when I say it's the thankless stuff, it's the thankless stuff that moves people forward. It's the people you get out there, you're crushing it, you're leading the Marines, and then they go get pinned by somebody else. Nothing more disrespectful, but I get it, guys. It's not disrespectful. It's like it's a lot there. But I wanted to say all of that. I wanted to lay that out for you because it's so crazy. It's so crazy how the things you think are going to generate the revenue in your business are not the things that usually generate the revenue in your business. The things that you think are going to get you rewarded and awarded and praised are rarely the things that get you awarded, praised, and so on and so forth. So Branded Like a Leader was one of those things that said, hey, remember your Marine Corps experience, brother. Like, you're not going to get praised for what you sell. You're going to get praised for the brand and the equity of the brand that you exemplify. It's the little things. It's the hard, thankless things. That it's the commitment and continual things that really make the impact. So that was one of the big things for me.
Wow. I see so much there. Again, guys, LinkedIn Voice. I see you. LinkedIn Live. We see you. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We see you, right? We see you. We acknowledge your presence and are grateful and appreciative for it, right? BrandedLikeALeader.com. BrandedLikeALeader.com is where you can go and find out more about Branded Like a Leader. Take the leap that will behoove you, will change you, will transform your life, right? I wanted to speak to something real quick, Bobby, because as you're giving the war cry, as you're giving the rally, as you're giving the thankless job piece, I can remember being hated for the work that I continue to give and for the work that I continue to give, right? And it is a thankless job, and it's not for everybody. People jump in and then cop out. All the time. People enroll and then they're like, oh my God, I can't take it here. I thought this was one of those motivational things. I thought I was gonna be made to feel good. I thought somebody was gonna, like do it for me. I thought I was gonna be able to buy my way into success. I thought I'd be able to do 7 figures or go from crickets to digits in the midst of the pandemic, but without doing the work. I thought that I could buy the work. I thought that I could pay for the result, right? And it's never the case. And I'm probably a lot harsher than a lot of coaches that just want people's money and want them to be happy and want them to go along and get the pat on the back and the emotional rub down, right? I'm extremely different than that. And I've been, the business has done very well economically, but even better as far as our ethos, as far as our ethics go, because I know what it takes in business to be successful, and it doesn't take an emotional rub down. Sometimes it takes a rough up. As a matter of fact, all the time it takes for someone to shake you out of your comatose, nonchalant business daydream and get you ready for what it really looks like so that you can be resilient, you can be called upon to serve, you can be successful, and you can be reliable. Resiliency. A lot of us are not resilient. A lot of us, hope that someone's going to come and bail us out. And this is not the government situation where you're Goldman Sachs and when the economy goes down, Obama's going to send you a package. This is not that. That is not this. This is you eat what you kill. This is you eat what you kill. This is all meritocracy. This is all merit-based. You will not be successful unless you succeed. You will not eat if you don't succeed, if you don't sell, if you don't pick up the phone and you don't use it and you don't brand you and stick to it, if you don't have the consistency and the intensity, you will not be invincible in market. You need to go from invisible to invincible, and there's only one way to do it, and that's gut work. Gut work. You have to be persistent. You have to be insistent, consistent, and persistent and resilient to get this work done, right? So as you can tell, probably just from the energy and that small delivery, I don't hold hands while you're crossing the street. I push you into the traffic and you figure it out. I give you what you need to succeed. I give you what you need to succeed, but you have to trust me and yourself. This is why I don't work with children. This is why I don't work with children. This is why I don't work with novices. I work with people who have high levels of education, experience, and expertise, whether that's tactical on battlefield, educational acuity, or organizational and professional decoration. I work with people who have high levels of education, experience, and expertise and want to translate that into high levels of independence, impact, and income. There is no middle ground. There is no middle ground. If you're serious, you can get it done. If you're not, you will be exposed. You will be exposed and you'll have to deal with that, right? So talk a little bit about that. Talk about what your experience was being in the military setting and having those people scream at you and get you cut, and what it was like in Branded Like a Leader and having me kind of unemotionally and get you cut for business.
Oh my goodness. I would say I'm a person that takes a lot of pride in my self-perception. And this is very important because people like me, and I think Shaan would even be in this group, like take a lot of pride in who we are, what we do, and what our work says about us. In the military, I had an experience that was crushing and sobering. And in Branded Like a Leader, I had an experience that was crushing and sobering. And I will share both of those very briefly to just let you all know the need for honesty. Like if someone's not being honest with you and you messing some stuff up and you just not cutting it, they see more potential in you than you are executing on, and they let you slide. Like you don't want that. You do not want that in my personal experience. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about both of those and just, hopefully show you the need for getting out of your silo and into the room that can help you expand, right? So in the Marine Corps, the most insulting thing that was ever said to me was I was a cosmetic Marine. It was my master sergeant. Insulting. And I didn't even know I was being insulted until I left the room. Like I was a corporal, it was still processing. But when that man just said what I think he said. I wanted to go back in there. Actually, I did go back in there, but I minded my tongue. I knew who I was talking to. I was like, excuse me, right? But here's how it went, very, very briefly. I am not an extrovert when it comes to cursing and screaming and yelling. I'm very disciplined. I'm very level-headed, and that's my demeanor. But as a corporal, that's not what people want. They want loud, aggressive, bite your head off. They call it releasing the dogs. When you're a corporal, the staff NCOs and the sergeants say, don't let me let them off their leash. And then you go, you go eat it up. Like you just terrorize stuff, right? So it was very fun. Being a corporal was very fun. But one thing, I have become a sergeant. I was no longer a corporal, and one of the gunnery sergeants was watching me engage with the Marines. And he went to my master sergeant and said, Sergeant Jackson is a show. He turns it on when you watching, and he cuts it off when you don't. He's inconsistent. I went into my Master Sergeant's office, and he said, "Hey, Bobby, Sergeant Jackson. It's been brought to my attention that you have been, cutting on, cutting off. I think you're a cosmetic Marine." I said, "What's cosmetic? What are you talking about?" He's like, the acrylic nails, the extensions. It's like when from afar it looks real, but when you get up on it, it just ain't what it is. I say, like I was, man, I cannot tell y'all how I felt, because I was turning and burning, right? I was turning and burning every night. I was trying to give them everything I had. And the truth of the matter, the lesson that I learned was this: if it ain't authentic, it's never enough. If it's not authentic, it's never enough. I was doing everything I saw all the other successful sergeants do, but I was not being authentic. It took an African-American first sergeant at the time come to me. He said, "Bruh, if you don't curse, don't curse. If you don't yell, don't yell. Be you and know that you're enough." I started doing that, and they couldn't do nothing but hate. I still got the accolades. I still got the growth. I still got the promotions. I still led my Marines. Other people pinned them, but they knew. They call me to this day in Okinawa, Japan. I'm no longer in the Marine Corps. "Hey, thank you for everything you did. I didn't understand it then. I gave you a lot of HELL, but you the one that's got me where I'm at." Years down the road, I'm finally getting that. But that was one experience in the Marine Corps, crushed me. Let's talk business. That was Master Sergeant Smith. I think he'll appreciate it. I don't think he'll mind me saying his name. Shaan Rais, Mr. Shaan Rais. What was that experience like for me then? I was baby number 4 on the way. I was so-called crushing it in my mind. I'm doing everything I can. And money is getting tight. I'm looking at the bag. I'm like, "Hey, Shaan, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make these investments. It's kind of tight." He said, "Brother," I'm gonna do my best impression. He said, "Brother, 6 months ago, you made a commitment to me, but more importantly, you made a commitment to yourself. You said that you was gonna come into this and you was gonna build a business. Now, as your coach, I can do one of two things. I can let you off the hook, let you leave this course, and let you go back on your word, understanding what that'll do to your self-esteem and confidence. Or I can say, Mr. Jackson, I will work with you if you do everything in your power to maintain your integrity, your investment." At that point in time, I had been subtly but respectfully called a liar. Like, if you break down and you don't follow through and you don't finish this, you lied to me and you lied to yourself. I say, I ain't a liar. I ain't a cosmetic Marine. I'm not that. That's not me. I went and found the money. Right? Here we are about a year, 2 years later, and I can make that investment 3 times, 4 times, 5 times over, no problem, no wink of sleep lost. Thank you, Coach.
You're very welcome, brother. You're very welcome, man. You're very welcome. There's things that we do in leadership. That just have to be done. Just have to be done. And there's those that are going to make it, and there's those that are not. Everybody doesn't make it home from war. And everybody's not successful in business. There's a lot of people that are jaded. There's a lot of people, people don't succeed in employment, for God's sakes, or education, for God's sakes. And that's why it's an echelon, and that's why the air is thin at the top. There's more associates than there are bachelor's degrees. There's more bachelor's degrees than there are master's degrees. There's more master's degrees than there are doctors and doctorates. There's more people on the front line than there is in the C-suite. I'm talking about frontline employee, right? As a coach, as someone who prepares someone for the trenches that is business, I'm not going to play with you or make it appear like it's going to be easy when it's not. Business will be the most transformative and most rewarding part of your life if you make it through. And your results is based on what you do. I speak to people all the time, and the first thing they do is they discredit where they were formerly. Oh, I was in this course, I was working with this coach, and I won't mention names because that's far beyond me, right? That has nothing to do with me. But what it does do is it tells me who I'm speaking to. They say, "Oh, Sean, I've been in 5 courses. I've worked with 5 coaches. You probably know them." And they start running down the names, and I'm like, "Well, don't know that one. Then I might know this one, might know that one." And I'm like, it doesn't make a difference where you've been and what you've done. What makes a difference is who you are. And that's why I teach brand you and not what you do. I don't care where you've been. I don't care what you did. If you come in here fresh off the street, but you got grit, you can be successful in business. If you come in here after 10 courses, 10 coaches, you can be successful in business. If you come in here with no experience whatsoever, I can help you to become successful in business. But these are the things that you're going to have to do. Have integrity. Have integrity. Have honor. Have honor. Have discipline. Find your moral compass. Be ethical. Don't break your word. The worst thing that you can do in business is break your word. That's the worst thing that you can do in business. And it starts as you're learning the craft. Because how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you say, "Oh yeah, Sean, I'm going to commit to X, Y, and Z dollar," and then 4th month, 5th month, 6th month, you're, "Oh, well, my world is upside down." I tell everybody, as soon as you make a commitment, your world is going to be upside down because you're going to be tested, because you cannot be the same person and go from 0 to 6 figures. It takes a different person to do that. So not only is pressure going to come on you from the course, pressure is going to come from you from your course in life. The course that you've chosen in life, the person that you've chosen to become. And I always tell people, if you think your weight is something, wait till you get up here. Because we have 8-figure issues. You understand? So the pressure is much more. The commitment is much more. The integrity that's called upon to lead is much more than the integrity that's called upon to follow and to receive instruction. But the same ethical thread remains. The same integrity thread remains. And if you can't succeed as a private, you'll never succeed as a corporal. And if you can't succeed as a client, you'll never succeed as a coach. And if you can't succeed as an employee or someone who makes a moral commitment and expect to be able to break that, but be able to keep your word at 7 figures, 8 figures, you're fooling yourself and you're lying to yourself. And not as your friend, because friends don't help friends get out alive. Leaders do that. Leaders do that. So not as your friend, because your friend will let you off. I'll send a friend home, pat them on the back, say, "It's okay, don't worry about it." But I know they won't be successful in business, and I won't be able to tell them what I need to tell them. You understand? As a leader and as someone who has been employed, because I believe that you are in your client's employ once they begin to pay you. There's a transaction. That transaction begets transformation. So once the payment is made, I'm obligated to tell you the truth. That's my moral compass. I'm contracted to tell you the truth. So it doesn't make a difference to me how you feel about it. I'm going to be 100,000% ethical, honorable, and integrity laden when I tell you that if you can't make your financial commitments to yourself, you will not be able to make the bigger commitment to your family, to your children's children who you said you were thinking about when you came in. You said, "Oh, I'm about legacy. I want to take care of my children's children." But you can't honor your tomorrow or your today. You're not going to be able to honor your 36 years after your death, because the same word that you break today, remember now, children don't follow what you say. They follow what you do. So when you break your word to yourself, you're sending a biochemical signal to your genetic code. And that stuff trickles down, man. That stuff trickles down. Your face shows it. Your spirit shows it. If you try to keep a stone face and you sit down at the dinner table knowing you broke your word and you turned your coat and you went back on your commitments, your daughter feels that. Your son feels that. Your spouse knows it. And your spirit knows it. And it becomes easier and easier and easier for you not to keep your word, which makes it easier and easier and easier for you to fail in life and in business. And it's your choice, 100% your choice. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. About 10 o'clock, there'll be a room full of men, and I'll be talking about your word, your brand, and your future. So I hope you've enjoyed. We've enjoyed Bobby telling you about his military history, background, and all of that stuff. If you want to know what it really looks like on the inside and how to go from crickets to digits, it's going to take work, right? Crickets is here, 0. That in between, consider that hell week. Consider that hell, the boys they don't talk about, right? The people that they don't mention. And whatever that takes place, whatever that qualification process looks like, because on the other end of it is heaven. On the other end of it is heaven and peace and comfort in your skin, knowing that you are a man or a woman who can keep their word, can go through the work and come out the other end successful, not unscathed, but successful, and then self-reliant and resilient. You don't understand what freedom looks like, guys. When you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning because you want to, or because you're built that way, it's really different than waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning because you got to make it to a job. When you have the ability to say, okay, no matter what goes wrong in the world, you can cut a check and send support, no matter what goes on, in the world, no matter what goes on in your family's life, who you love, no matter who gets sick, no matter what the case may be, you can be there physically and you can be there economically. It's a completely different transformation that takes place. And this is where me and Bobby Jackson sit at this point. And he's not the first, nor will he be the last military personnel who says, I want to move into business, right? We attract them all the time, and we help them to understand the same things that it took to be successful over there will be the same thing that it takes to be successful over here. Again, guys, Branded Like a Leader is the program that we built for leaders who want to become brands and make their yearly income monthly, their monthly income weekly, and their weekly income daily. Before you can add a 0 to the back of your number, you got to add a 0 to the back of your integrity. I don't think I have any more, Bobby. I think we left it on the court.
I think so.
I think we left it on the field with this one. All right, guys, listen. Just make a decision and make it a wise one. You know, I'm on the other side of all good decisions. I won't smile in your face. I won't talk about you behind your back. And if you can trust yourself, I will ensure and guarantee, because everything is evidence-based here, if you do the work, you will be massively successful and go from 0 to 6, 7, and then 8 figures. Let's grow. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow is coaching, 7 a.m. Follow Bobby Jackson. He is an example of what the work that we do. He's an example. Retired himself from the military, retired his wife from the workforce. Freedom, guys. Freedom. This is a freedom run, and we're very serious about what we do, and we're very serious about who we do it for. Let's grow.